hello to this all our guests because we met each other since I don't know 6 years ago, something like that,
Yeah,
even
something
then.
like that, I think.
Yeah, it is great. It is great because you have been the first man in the e-commerce industry that said, okay, Joshua, maybe you have to understand these facts. So thank you so much for everything that you have done for me, and I'm really glad to present you. So yeah, Luca, please, you are the VP in PrestaShop right now, right?
Yes, I look after an international espresso shop, basically the whatever is outside France, which is our headquarter, which is our domestic market. And PrestaShop, for those who don't know the company, is an open source platform for e-commerce. Basically, what we do, we solve the problem of providing a software to empower merchants to run their store online. And we do this in a very brutal way because we're open source. So we basically have the entire community contributing to the development of this software, and we make this available to merchants and community worldwide.
Yeah, it is great. And also, I know that today in the Presto Shop, we can say that there are a lot of things that are moving right now since the last acquisition from mailboxes, etc. So it is something internally that is changing right now. So I can feel the emotion when we talk about that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we will discuss about that just in a few minutes, in which we can warm up the conversation. Anyway, so yeah, thank you again. And as for the topic of this event, I would like to understand more about what is your feeling to open a new market. As you know, here basically Startup Green is helping us just to startups to understand more about every kind of I don't know, a sort of something in the commerce industry or in the fintech or whatever. In our case, and in this case, we would like to discuss about the topic or about how to enter a new market. So, is as for your experience in PrestaShop, I would like to understand more about what happened when, as an e-commerce or as a business, we need to open a new market that we already don't know. So it is about the scaling part, right? Because if I'm
Yeah.
opening a new market, I'm scaling. So it is a little bit more the next step for the business. It is a business that already is okay in the market in which it is, and then is scaling. So what is your perception about that?
Thank you, Joshua, for the invitation, for this amazing opportunity to share our experience. Of course, there's no perfect recipe, so forget about blueprints, forget about recipes.
I
But
was
there are,
I was just taking notes about no. Okay.
forget about it.
Okay.
So, but indeed, there are common challenges, and we can talk about these challenges. One of the first one that comes to my mind is where you want to go. How do you pick up the market where you want to go next after your domestic market? And in general, you find situation there are more opportunity driven. For instance, you have a client who's going abroad, or you have somebody that contacting you from abroad because he's not able to find such a service, such a product in their market. They met you at the fair or in any type of situation, and you at that moment you have an opportunity to start putting a feet in a new market. Or at the other at the opposite side of the spectrum, so opportunity driven, or you can really plan. So you build a strategic plan, you try to prioritize markets based on, I would say, mainly on three criteria. The first one could be how big is that market? So
Okay.
what's the industry you are in that market? How this industry is expected to grow, and what is your competitive position versus the local competitors? So if you, and mapping these three elements would help you understand what could be the priority. Probably you might want to go in a market where there is a decent size, expected to grow, and competition is not that fierce. at least until you have all the you're equipped also to enter in other type of markets where there's fierce competition, but there's a huge opportunity because of the size of the market, so on and so forth. The second challenge and question, and sometimes you need to ask yourself, is whether you want to go organic, or so you put in place your own organization, or depending on the availability of resources, you might go for an acquisition, or you might want to go with a partnership with a local player. So
Yeah.
those are strategic options that you might want to go. But the most
When you
important
say,
question,
sorry, Luca, when you say organic, you are not, let's say, splitting from the advertising. You're just saying that you want to do by yourself, right? So whatever it
yeah,
is by
yeah.
yourself, you're okay. So it's not about the digital approach.
Well,
It's about
no,
the
no,
topic.
it's organic growth. It's organic growth,
Okay.
meaning you make an investment in the market, you know, or the other option, you acquire a local competitor, or you
Okay.
partner with the distributor,
Yeah.
uh, and those are a bit the options. And there is, in the end, those are extreme options where very often you end up making a mix of this.
Yeah.
So you might prioritize a market because you have an opportunity, but then you see that market also potential more in general because of the size, your competitive positioning, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the most strategic question is also the kind of organization you want to put in place. The biggest challenge is the organization you want to put in place. It's an organizational challenge. Because there's a mantra for those doing coping with internationalization is be as global as possible and as local as necessary. Because
Yeah.
you don't want
I
to,
didn't know that. Yeah, it is. It is. It is strong, right?
yeah, because basically you don't want to, as you were saying, you need to scale. And scaling means making your revenue grow faster than the cost.
Yeah, it is.
And if you replicate the structure,
You are not scaling
you-
enough. Yeah. 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 Of
so
course.
and therefore you need to find the right balance. And you need to find the right balance, ensuring localization. You need to localize your product, localize your communication. And I stress, actually, in my team, they kind of tease me because there's one word that I hate, which is translation. Translate. I hate this word because to
Why?
translate, because you use Google to translate.
You don't need to translate.
You need to localize. You need to get the local flavor, and it's
Yeah.
not just a semantic argument.
Issue.
Is
Yeah. Yeah.
is making sure that your product is perceived as local. You need to
It.
implement locally relevant functionalities. You need to put in place a communication and marketing plan that matches the local needs, the local way of doing that business. The translation doesn't really work. And
You are right. You are right because yeah, just yeah. Sorry if I interrupt you.
no,
You
no,
know
please,
that
no, no.
I was
I like to make this interactive. So,
great. So the fact is, I remember the last time that I tried to do internalization because we thought that if we were going to open the Netherlands market, the Benelux one, it was smart for us because they speak English and also German, right? So basically, we were talking about two of the most important languages here in Europe. So we thought, okay, let's open the Benelux market. But then it happened that we it was not about the translation. It was just about the fact that people over there was not understanding what we were doing. In fact, we just stand by the project and said, okay, we have to move better the next time. So I know perfectly what you are saying. I think that it is real.
let me give you some example
Yeah,
from
thank you.
PrestaShop. So what's important when we are opening Poland? We are open Poland as a
Mhm.
market. It's an amazing market. I really enjoy working with that market. So to give you an example, localizing the product for a service that wants to be the reference, the hub for e-commerce for the merchant. So you choose PrestaShop, not just because it makes you build a website, because it facilitates the integration with all the e-commerce suppliers, with the entire value chain around e-commerce, from payment providers, shipping providers, marketplaces, so on and so forth. And then you realize marketplace are a strategic component in many commerce. So integrating your e-commerce platform with marketplaces is extremely important. But the world doesn't work in world doesn't work always the same. And also major companies, giants like Amazon, probably in market like Poland, they just launched. There's a local marketplace called Allegro, which is so strong. And if you open that market, then you need to make sure that you have Allegro as an integration, so that you provide your merchants with the opportunity to replicate their catalog on Allegro, or in Latin and South America, there's a Mercado Libre. Payments are made with Mercado Pago, or so there are all this local adaptation. There are part of what I call the localization process. One other example, logistics, shipping, delivery. Poland is the market with the highest percentage of parcel delivery to pickup points. So
Wow.
not
You are talking
the
about
lockers.
lockers.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
lockers. There's
Yeah.
this local strong player called Impost that is made sure. Well, if I'm not, I'm trying to remember on top of my mind, but between 9 and 10% of deliveries are made to lockers,
It's a lot. It's a
and
lot.
those are local specificity that you need to cope with. And by making a translation of your website into Polish, it wouldn't make you successful.
It is right. It is right.
So, and the other thing is, so this is when it comes to localization. The other part is the type of organization you want to put in place. Usually you start by having a sales representative, or some local marketing, but it's important. Probably the biggest challenge that you have when you scale internationally is creating an organization that can support local teams without replicating. So you cannot have.
What is the difference? What is the big difference about that?
Let's say you have a.
You are talking about a B2B SaaS, right? You are talking in the part of a B2B SaaS, or also as an e-commerce B2C?
I'm talking in general. Then
Okay.
we can. This is a general challenge, because
Okay.
let's say you have in your home market, in domestic market, you have 100 people. If you want to open another market, it's not, you cannot think of having another 100 people in that market, because you want to leverage it. And that's the concept of scaling, because you want to have the same technology. So you need to have the same people in the headquarters able to support the technology also locally. General functions like finance, HR, until you reach a certain stage,
Yeah.
you're gonna try to manage this from a global perspective. So you need to have people able to have this global mindset to support local teams, but thinking that every market has its own specificity, its own specific needs, and therefore need to adapt, because you might have local different contracts, different way of doing business, all this series of structure. And you need these people to work together, which
Okay.
is not easy, because you add on top language differences,
Cultural.
cultural differences,
Yeah.
You hadn't thought the remote thing, the fact that you're not working from the same, even though I'll tell you that situation is getting interesting, and one of the positive side of the pandemic that has accelerated on some topics. So let me give you some example of what we do at PrestaShop. So PrestaShop is a peculiar situation because besides being a company, we are a community. So we are a community and a company. And actually, because of the open source. And actually, one of the plan of the year is also to accelerate probably on the separation, the split between the open source community side from the corporate side. But the fact of being a community put us in a situation where we were a company born in France 15 years ago, but for now, after we developed a global community of about 1 million people.
Wow.
And we are present in markets where we did not really put a specific effort, but we develop a presence there through the open source community. Open source community, uh, where the main that basically sharing values, sharing the idea of supporting each other to building an e-commerce, to building software, to then support mainly their consulting activity.
Do you think that the fact that PrestaShop has this strong community is one of the strengths of the company? Do you think it is something that, if you think about PrestaShop without the community, it was not PrestaShop as well?
Absolutely, this is the DNA of PrestaShop. This is the an essential component. This is our history, but also in our future plan, we keep this as a pillar.
Yeah.
And absolutely, and it helps creating awareness. But then the company side, so and this independently, we were growing everywhere in the world, especially in Europe, Southern Europe, Eastern Europe, Latin. Those are the key geographies. But then on the company side, we see the opportunity in markets where we see potential to invest through a local organization and making sure that we accelerate this growth and monetization in these markets.
Yeah.
And how do we do this? We do this working on localizing the product. I was
as you
making before.
as you said before about the fact that you are, for your in your case, trying to have a technology that fit the market. This is the case for you when you said about the localization.
Exactly. That
Okay.
is exactly the challenge because your product might be 80%, but still you need that 20% to make, because in Poland, if you don't have or in Latin, if you don't integrate with Mercado Libre, Mercado Pago, with Allegro, you're not perceived as a relevant company.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. This is very important for everyone, I think, because I know that we have some, let's say, wrong point during the opening our market. I want to use also my experience in the case,
Yep.
and yeah, for example, we don't have the integration with some platform that was very interested in Benelux, for example, because they used to, well, PrestaShop is there, but they use a lot of CMS that here in Italy we don't know. So for them, it was like we were not familiar to the technology that they use. So maybe it also something like that. So yeah, I think that is very. Yeah, I feel that you are okay about that. Yeah, it is.
So one key strategic point is localization, which is
Yeah,
not, again, it's not translation, and then you need to put in place the go-to-market strategy. So your distribution channel, your sales strategy. In our specific case, we leverage a lot on the community and on channel. So the network of agencies, certified developers, because in our industry they play a very important role. As you were saying, we're B2B, but and this kind of the main influencer in the purchase decision are agencies and developers.
Yeah, yeah,
So those are roughly the main elements where we work on. What are the
very
markets?
interesting. Yeah,
I was saying the markets are, besides France, very strong in Iberia and Latin and Central and Eastern Europe. And I want to spend some time on the organizational challenge because I've seen, I've led a PrestaShop different moments. So I opened the Italian market almost 6 years ago. And at that time, there was a French company hiring a person in Italy to develop the market. I was the kind of, what was an old movie called, this, they use the expression, the man in Lavana. But the man in Lavana didn't really miss the chat at the coffee machine that you have when you have a break.
yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah,
and you miss that part. And these informal chats are very often the moments where decisions are taken, relationship are built. And I was this was for me quite a bit of challenge. So I was traveling very often to Paris, but still I was in meetings. It was not very often I say, okay, we have this meeting. Oh, the camera is not working, or okay, we'll tell you we had this meeting in a room, and then we'll send you the recap. So you could be left out.
yeah.
With the pandemic, there was an incredible acceleration of the interesting thing of the pandemic is that all of a sudden we were all at the same page.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Of
And I
course. Yeah,
and I started being much more integrated in the company. And I started also covering this role, this international role that I'm currently covering, which would be a few years ago, this role wouldn't have been possible to be outside the headquarters. But
okay.
now it's completely possible. And if there's something I think we're doing pretty well at PrestaShop, we decided to have this culture of work from anywhere. So which is different from remote working because we do have offices, and if you're not in the headquarters, if you're not in Paris, you have an allowance to go to co-working spaces. We meet on a regular basis, at least once a month or once a quarter, and we do with some team meetings. And once a year, we do a company offsite.
Do you
Um,
mean directly in Paris?
yes, in
Once a
Paris.
month?
The managers go at least once a month in Paris. Then every 3 months, I do a whole lands with the team, with the international team, and once a year we should do a company offsite. So the entire company might go somewhere. So those gathering are important to build relationship, to build culture.
It is. It is.
Why I'm saying this and why it's relevant for international expansion, because the the conflict that very often you have in organization of local organization versus global organization is getting into the cloud now because it was interesting. A few days ago, I was doing a review with a team member uh, from the Polish market, and he was asking me, need more local resources, more local. And I say, okay, but now that we all work from anywhere,
it is hard to understand from a part in which there is no one that ever figured it out something like that. So it is also strange in a company like PrestaShop, even if you were ready before the pandemic. So yeah.
Well, we were not. I don't think we were ready before the pandemic. We had the capability
Mm,
to do that,
okay.
but we were not. We didn't feel the urgency of doing this. When I say capability, is because we were already organized by using OKRs. We not micromanaging. We're not very much focused on objectives. Very pretty much feel free to set up your own agenda in order to achieve your results. But still, the company culture was around meeting at work and working from the same place. When we switched to the this, which we might call hybrid mode,
Yeah.
um, it worked very well, and it's really facilitating also international expansion. To go back to the main topic, why is that? Because especially if we are on the same time zone,
Yeah, it is not something that you can not consider during the expansion. It is real. It is real. Yeah,
and and
in some
so
contract there is written that it is not important if you work from home, from Milan or whatever, but you have to stay at the right time zone from the client are. So it is real what you say.
so there are two major transformation happening in the work environment. One is this hybrid way of working, working from anywhere, and agile way of working. Not thinking of silo team, silos, and thinking of which might, if you think of silos, you might get into the the trade of the conflict between a local and global organization. But instead, if you transform this into a squad, into a tribe, we have country squads where members of different teams, regardless of whether they sit or live in France or abroad, but they share the same goal, the same
The same
targets.
culture, yeah, sure.
And those two elements are facilitating a lot the ability of growing internationally, consistently with the mantra that we were saying before, as global as possible, as local as necessary.
It is.
and and that's mainly my I spend most of my time trying to empower country managers in the different markets with the right resources, with the right tools, with the right connection to be successful. And which implies a lot of also negotiation, internal lobbying with the other teams. But these two transformation, work from anywhere and agile way of working, are really creating a new paradigm for international growth.
Well, it is very interesting. Yeah, thank you so much about that, Luca. I think that it is very interesting. Also, I was thinking about the fact that when you are talking to a country manager that is local, even if you don't know locally what people used to do, it could be hard to you to say you have to do these guidelines. So basically, you have to be on top of the guidelines strictly for the market, but you have to give some advice that could be, let's say, as you have done right now. So it cannot be you have to do this, this, and this. You have to, let's say, figure it out what can be the culture to do some things that is different between asking you to do something and giving you the chance to understand how to do this stuff. So yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah,
And it's an organizational challenge,
it
which
is
is
an
the one of the toughest one, but it's fun to work with that.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that you are having fun right there. So thank you again about this question. It was very hard question, I know, because you have just a few minutes to answer to that. I would like to understand if you, from your experience, right now in Europe, there are some markets that for you can be more interested than others, if there are. You said about Poland, so again, the audience right now are talking are people that are starting a startup or something like that. So basically, they can be interested to understand what kind of market enter into. So what could be your suggestion about this market can be more interested if you do that? So what are your suggestions about the markets?
Well, it's a very wide question, so we can try to we can start from one very often technology companies are coming, especially in particular. There are two regions, two countries producing a lot of giants, a lot of unicorns, the US and China. And as Europe, we're struggling a bit to compete with that. As Espresso Shop, we are part of the French Tech, and one the goals of the French Tech is also to facilitate this European integration and the ability to create European champions, European unicorns. And France is actually doing a pretty good job with that. There are a lot of almost every day announcing new unicorns getting funded, getting listed. Similarly, in from Germany, UK, indeed. But if we put very often, if you put yourself in the shoes of the usual suspect, the big American companies or that want to expand to Europe, they tend to go first London,
In UK?
first
Yeah,
UK,
yeah,
language, domestic size, or Germany, uh, because they are the largest market. Then they start looking at France. Then they bundle Italy, Spain, and Portugal.
yeah. We are the tail, Yeah, that's it.
And then they start going to and um, very often American companies they have challenges in getting the complexity of the European market because if you put yourself in their shoes, they're used to a huge market, more than 300 million person, with the same currency, the same language, similar law. While in Europe, if you want to do something in Belgium, you might need a website in three languages.
Yeah, it is. I know that. I already know that. Yeah, it is. Of course.
And if you want, you really need to have this ability. This is to say what? To say that there might be for some hotspot, some, and that's a bit what has happened, especially in Eastern Europe. That has facilitated where I see a lot of opportunities because in general there are young countries. Average age is lower than in Italy, for instance. Well, we're getting pretty old as a country.
Yeah, we are.
Tech savvy, because historically banks used to do a lot of IT outsourcing. They're growing markets, and they're creating. I was mentioning before, few local champions. They are now becoming trying to expand internationally as well. So I see a lot of opportunities. Sometimes uh, which are the results also of the fact that global players are have hard time to scale in those geography that require a lot of localization. because of the trade-off that we were saying
Yeah,
before.
so this is a big opportunity for the kind of companies that they are not coming from US, for example, or China, because let's say Poland, for example, as you said, could be more interesting for us as Italian market because we are close to them. Because for us, there are how many people are in Poland? 50 million,
30,
something like.
37, 40.
Okay, so it's sort of the same. We are in Italian 60 million, but we are
60.
older. So yeah, we are close to them. So yeah, I can understand. So basically you are saying if you are coming from US, maybe it is not interesting for you to come to Poland, but if you are in one of these fields or these markets, can be more interesting for you if you are looking for an expansion that is not standard one.
So it's not that it cannot be interesting. They tend to prioritize in a different way.
Okay.
The prioritization was usually UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal. Then Eastern Europe, they go east. Well, we're making very generic description. Going directly in those companies might be an opportunity in order to make because you wouldn't have the competition of this large giant. But now I'm not member of the
You
Polish
are
of the
not
Eastern.
you are not sponsored.
Yeah, I'm not sponsored.
Don't
Yeah.
go to Poland or wherever
And
you
more
want
than
to.
I'm using Poland or Eastern
Yeah,
Europe as an example. But this
yeah,
goes
yeah,
back to one of the first challenge and question that we need to ask ourselves: where do I need to go, and where do you want to go? And basically, you see market size, expected growth, competitive position.
yeah. The Nigerian market, it seems that during the next year will be one of the largest because they are going to become 800 million sort of debt during 2050. So maybe someone that want to see very long, they can understand how to invest there.
Yep.
I would like to give you some more question, ask you some more question, but I saw also there are some question from the audience. So I would like to. There is a question from Pratham Lavani. I'm sorry for my pronounce. I'm really sorry
Come
about
on,
that.
Joshua. Come
Okay,
on,
yeah,
Josh.
it's my fault. Yeah, how
Yes, it
can I
is.
get? Of course, how can I get authentic seller suppliers? This is. I don't know if I understand well the question. How can I get authentic sellers? What do you mean, Prantham? If you can be more specific, it could be great. And then the second question is how to do $0 marketing. Maybe this could be a good. Well, I don't know. $0 marketing. It is very hard. In your case, you did it with the community.
Yeah, but it has a cost as well. Well, zero
Yeah,
dollar. You might tempted to say, uh, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So,
of course. Yeah, of course. I was thinking
no,
about the
no,
same.
but jokes apart, this is a growth hacking question. Basically, what kind of levers you can put in place in order to, or I wouldn't think of $0. I'd rather think performance based, because what you want to do is to make sure that you link your marketing effort to revenues. And as long as you are able to gather certain KPIs to build a model that finance itself,
Yeah, it is.
and through
It's a
this
cash.
performance base,
It's a cash flow
you
problem.
yeah, it's a cash flow problem, but if it works, you can get finance for that.
Yeah, I remember also. Sorry, Luca. I remember also. The I don't remember. I'm really sorry about that. The name of the founder of WhatsApp, but at the beginning, he basically puts the link of the app inside of the group, in which people can say, "Yeah, this is a good app," or "This is not." And so people they were starting to use the app not only for saying, "Yeah, this is good," but for chatting. So basically, it was starting the marketing from the beginning, as a group in the IT as well. So maybe, yeah, as you told, it is a growth hacking problem or somehow.
Challenge.
Yeah, challenge. Yes. I sorry, Pradam. I don't understand the question. If I know that you look, I understand the other one. So if for you is okay, I have the last one question because thank you so much for all the answer that you give us. And this is what we can expect for the next 3 years in the e-commerce market from your perspective. But you have to be a little bit short because we have not too much time.
A lot of things. Full stop.
I knew that. No,
Yeah.
a little more longer.
So I'll try to be very sharp on this. We've seen, and again, the pandemic has been a game changer. We in Europe we have 37 million new buyers, online buyers.
Whoa.
So it's like going back to, and again, I don't work for any Poland institution, but it's like the country of Poland, a new market. So from in the year of the pandemic, we had 37 million new online buyers. This creates
You
as
are talking about customers. So buy that people that are buying products.
part, yes, people that bought for the first time online.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Huge.
This is huge.
Yeah. Easy.
Uh,
Huge.
it created urgency for merchants to go online. So what has changed a lot? While before you had to kind of convince a merchant to say, "Oh, you should do online. You might have this." Now it's how can I do that? There was a huge wave of new store creation. It's less known. It's less, let's say, covered in the news. There is also a wave of store closure because uh, e-commerce is it's a tough business. It's a
Yeah.
scale business.
Yeah.
The fact that you can easily open a store using many solution like PrestaShop or SaaS solution, no code solution, doesn't make you successful with your business.
Yeah.
And
It's a huge
so
market. It is a huge market.
a
So
lot of competition got giants.
yeah, this is the big problem. I think
So you need to set up for to be set up for success. You need to be able to scale.
you are
Uh,
in competition with this big. This is the big
we,
problem.
yeah, and so what I'm seeing now is less focus on opening stores, but it's more focused on cracking your business, making sure on scaling. And to scale, you need to have many things. One of the one of which we tend to we provide is providing a platform to help you automate processes, integrate with the other softwares, ERP, logistics solutions, because you need to automate a lot of processes to be able to scale efficiently.
Yeah, because it is not it's unuseful. You are not doing nothing. You are just doing digital what you do physical. It is not something that is useful.
And to conclude, uh, what I'm expecting that we will speak less and less about e-commerce. We will speak only about commerce because of the fact that people are getting used to have a seamless experience, or they expect seamless experience online or offline. They expect to be able to have the choice to conversate with a brand or with the retailer online, to finalize the purchase offline, or vice versa.
Of course, of course.
And we're really getting. It's been quite a while that we were saying that we've been saying in the industry, or just coming, DE is going to disappear. I think we're pretty close to that. And the key enabling factor is logistic, uh, delivery, last mile delivery in particular is going to be more and
Huge.
more the key success factor.
Yeah. So during the next years, this is what we can expect. Thank you so much, Luca, for your time. Of course, it was very, very interesting for you, and I am really glad that you have participated to me. When I contact you, I was thinking, please, let's say that Luca say yes, I want to do it because I would be really glad. So thank you so much. I don't know if Claire she is with us. Maybe yes, because she's appeared. Okay, that's it.
I'm back.
Ciao, Clara.
I don't see her, but I think that she's coming from. Hello.
Okay, I might be a little delayed. Sorry.
Yeah, that was great, right?
Yeah.
The experience of Luca. I knew that Luca can tell us a lot. In fact, this is the first time, Luca, I would say that I had to ask to the guest, okay, please, we don't have the time, because you have a lot of things to say. So I'm glad about that, for real.
I'm glad as well. Thank you very much for inviting me. It was nice chat.
Yeah, thank you so much, Claire. So I think that we can say thank you to everyone.
Sure. Yeah, that was fabulous. Thank you, Luca, so much. It was really great to listen to you talk and all of your great stories. And Poland came up a lot. Maybe we had someone from Poland in the audience. Probably not, but I don't know if they would have taken that positively, negatively. Who knows? But it was a great conversation. Josh, thank you so much. You are a fabulous chapter director, and you are bringing incredible speakers from your network. So really, it's you too. This was so much fun. To our audience, thank you, specifically Pratham, who sent in the questions. That's great. We love having someone contribute and chat with us. Outside of that, pretty quiet audience, but I hope you guys will come back for our next event, maybe next month. Josh, do you have any ideas?
Well, at the moment, not, because I was just focused on Luca, because I was very interested about this event. But I can tell you by now that February will be there will be, of course, another event in which we will talk about e-commerce as well. If you want to ask me to invite not someone, but a topic in which I can tell you that could be more interesting for you, for the audience, of course, I will try to figure out how to find someone that could talk about that. So if you want to open a question or whatever it is, yeah, for me, it's okay to figure out how to find someone.
Awesome. I think I might send that to our Slack community and see what folks come up with. But yeah, thank you both so much. And to our audience, again, thank you for coming. We'll see you at the next event.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.